So I don't usually make videos on underrated units in BattleCat, but this is a special exception. That is because it's mainly the BattleCat community's fault that this unit is underrated. Now if it isn't obvious enough from the title and the thumbnail, I of course am talking about Misley. Misley is an Uber who's part of the Elemental Pixie set. You know, like the set that totally does not remind you of another Japanese franchise. Now considering the fact that she's made solely of water and attacks with water, then you should be able to guess what type of enemy she's most effective against. Let me give you 5 seconds to guess. For those of you who guessed metal enemies, then congratulations! You are a fucking idiot cause she targets aliens, baby! Here's her second and true form's full stat at level 30. I am not gonna talk about her base form because just look at it. Look at it! Nobody in their right mind will ever use this form over her second or true form. The only reason you would actually use her base form is either for showcases or if you actually enjoy her base form's appearance, which in that case, since she looks like a child, let me just... Main reason why Misley is so unpopular in the community is because of a singular term. The term is known as Misley syndrome. I should probably explain what Misley syndrome is first. Misley syndrome is a term used to describe crowd controllers that are so effective at controlling the enemy front lines that they end up pushing the enemy's front line back, which in turn causes your cat to move forward into the range of the enemy backliner. This in most situations is considered bad because most of your cat units will not have enough range to outrange the enemy backliner. This in turn will lead to a majority of your cat getting absolutely massacred. Misley syndrome is named after Misley because she's one of the first unit to have a guaranteed slow and knockback proc, who just so happens to also target a trait that is backliner heavy. This is the reason why Misley is so infamous in the BattleCat community. Because she has the tendency to push the front line into the range of the enemy backline, she is a horrible Uber and should not be used. At least according to this wise member of the BattleCat community, Misley is actually really good against aliens. Yeah, I just said that, and for those of you who can't accept it, go fuck yourself. This is one of the things I hate about the BCEN community. When someone in the community makes a claim that makes the slightest bit of sense, most of you just accept it without testing or questioning it. And when someone who actually tested something comes back with a different result, most of you still refuse to accept it. Anyway, the point is, Misley is not a trash Uber. And the reason why is simple. Misley syndrome actually doesn't happen that much. Now don't get me wrong, Misley syndrome is very much a problem Misley has. I just find that people over-exaggerate how much it happens. Usually, I find that Misley syndrome is caused by the incompetence of the player rather than the unit herself. Because believe it or not, Misley actually does require some skills to use correctly. When Misley is used correctly, the majority of Misley syndrome cases can actually be avoided. Even when Misley syndrome does happen, all of you seems to forget that Misley has resistance against aliens. Even if you don't have fruit treasures, her true form, and you keep her at level 30, she'll have 167,280 HP against aliens. To put that into perspective, if you fight Clear 1 with her on Into the Future Chapter 1 Moon, without collecting any treasure, she can still tank about 16 hits from Clear 1 without dying. So in most cases, even when Misley syndrome does occur, she can still go in and kill the backliner, because of her high durability. In fact, I think Ponos made her true form with that in mind, considering that she gets a stat increase instead of improving her CC abilities. I also think that Misley's knockback actually helps her more than it hurts her. This is especially prominent in Uncanny Legends. Because of the fact that most aliens in Uncanny Legend is super fucking tanky, you'll most likely have trouble getting them off your units with damage alone. Misley's knockback can easily get the enemies off your front line, while her slow can control the enemies while your units regain some ground. So despite her low uptime, she's actually extremely effective at controlling aliens. And if you were watching the background footage, you can tell that Misley syndrome doesn't happen that often when you use her correctly. After you learned how to use her, she is so effective that any pure alien stages has essentially turned into a joke. In fact, I'll say her only true weakness is the fact that she has long attack animation and the fact that she is only effective on pure alien stages. But other than that, I'll say she's extremely effective and underrated Uber. And the one who thinks Misley is a horrible Uber because of Misley syndrome can go and suck it. Oh yeah, FYI, she is also usable as a generalist. Do I recommend it? Not really, but her generalist stat is actually workable, so I guess if you really like Misley, you do whatever you want, I guess. But who am I kidding? There's no way anybody in the world will simp for a body of water, would they? Wait, editor, what the fuck?